Hvala, bili smo že kar precej dolgi. Jaz bi rada najavila še posladek za zaključek. Namreč pripravili smo intervju brez cenzure z gospodom Maxom Iganom in pa z gospodom Ratkom Martinovićem, urednikom
4D portala.
4D portala. Izvolijo.
Well, first of all, thank you for this conversation and interview.
My pleasure.
I don't know if you know, but you are pretty much popular in this region. Your videos translated on Croatian and other languages are watched a few 10,000 times, maybe 100,000 times on YouTube. And I think it's a pleasure when you come in Slovenia.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Thanks for wanting this interview. And thanks for watching the videos.
Thank you for great videos. Let's start with questions. World is undoubtedly going in the wrong direction. Some authors talk that there is a big picture and secret agenda in it. That is going on for centuries for some authors. What is your opinion about this theory, and what is solution of problem for common people like us?
Well, I think there is a hidden agenda. There is a global governance being put in place, and it has been in place for, well, growing for a long time. It actually started back around 1302, I think, with the introduction of the first express trust by Pope Boniface, who introduced the Unum Sanctum Trust, and that sort of created this whole corporate system that we're now seeing. And this whole global police state, New World Order, global conspiracy, whatever people want to call it, is actually a global corporation that's being formed. That's what's happening. As I said in my talk earlier, the whole human experience has basically been reduced to commerce. Everything's based on commerce. Everything we do is given a commercial value. Even the people are given a commercial value. Everything's about money, it's all about paper, it's all about supporting this economic model all the time. And there's countries that aren't yet involved in that. You saw I was talking with a lovely lady called Blanca earlier on, and she was talking about the economic model that used to exist where Yugoslavia was, which was a very fair economic system. And this was crushed by the whole Balkan situation. And this ultimately comes from the Vatican. It comes from this whole trust system that was put in place, the creation of the Crown Corporation, all of this sort of stuff. So that's really what we're facing. You know, what people fear as the global governance is basically a global corporation which will be controlled by the financial institutions and financial interests that control the corporation. That's what we're facing.
Why is an addiction to alcohol, drugs, or gambling wrong, and addiction to money and power very good?
Well, it is an addiction, but I mean, it's the nature of the system itself, because the system is designed to create scarcity. The monetary system we've got is designed to create scarcity. And when you create that scarcity in the human psyche, it promotes greed, and it promotes selfishness. It promotes people wanting to gather as much as they can to themselves. So the nature of the system itself creates this type of tendency within people. And if people have any sort of type of sociopathic or even psychopathic tendencies, the system is designed to exploit those tendencies and make these people what they are. So it's very difficult to blame the people that even do this. I mean, I think a lot of it is due to miseducation, it's due to mismanagement of the whole system. The system itself creates these people, it's designed to. It's a very, very clever system.
Who are these most influent people on the high places and the pillars of power? David Icke talks about reptiles, some authors talks about Jewish bankers, Masons. What do you think?
Well, look, you can point the finger at anything you want, really. I mean, ultimately, the financial system is the glue that holds it all together. It's by keeping people in this state of manufactured scarcity, and it's completely manufactured, it's completely artificial. It's the nature of the money system itself. It's designed to create scarcity. And so obviously those who control the flow of money are very, very prominent in this, but again, this is just the glue that holds the system together. I mean, really when you look at it, you look at the trusts that were put forth by the Vatican starting back in 1302. You had the Unum Sanctum Trust, which claimed control of the world, basically. Then you had 3 trusts that were created down the line from that. The first one was Romanus Pontifex, which claimed control of all property. Then the next trust was called the Attorney Regis Trust, which claimed control of all private property. And then there was a trust called Convocation, which presumed to claim control of everybody's soul. This is why the papal tiara has 3 crowns. This represents the 3 trusts. So this whole system is run by this system that was created by the Vatican. That's where it all comes from. But again, it's such a clever system. You've got to wonder whether this was put forth by humans. I mean, it's so bizarre. It's so diabolically clever. And you've got to wonder how it serves mankind in any way at all. Ultimately, it seems to all point to the financial institutions, but you have to wonder because, I mean, how much money do you want? How much money do you need? How much control do you need to have? It's almost as if these people see anybody else as a threat to them, and they just wish to control everything, because it isn't until you control everything that you're safe from anyone ever wanting to take what you have. And this is the basic foundation of a psychopathic personality. So perhaps it's just a psychopathic banking cartel, or perhaps there is some truth to some of the things David Icke says. But I mean, even when you look at some of the things David Icke says about reptilians and stuff like this, a lot of this can be found in Gnostic teachings as well. They mention a group of entities called the Archons. You find all of this in a book of writings called the Nag Hammadi Writings, which are some ancient Gnostic texts found about 40 or 50 years ago, I think, in a jar, and they're very, very old, and they talk about these overlords, if you will, that are basically interfering with humankind. It's a very interesting set of texts. Whether there's truth in it or not, I can only speculate. And ultimately, with a lot of this stuff, I mean, all you can do is speculate. You can point the finger at the Jews, you can point the finger at the Vatican, you can point the finger at a number of things, and you can provide enough evidence to take anybody down any one of these rabbit holes. But at the end of it, you come back and the system's still here, nothing's changed. And I believe that through all these rabbit holes, as I said earlier, what you're ultimately looking for is yourself. You're looking for the power within yourself, because that's what's been taken away from us, and that's where the solution lies, is for us to realise who and what we are. I really believe this is the solution to the whole thing. You know, it's in the self-empowerment that's been taken from us. That's what this whole system is designed to do. It creates us to be more and more subservient, more and more robot-like, until we're just walking and marching and doing what we're told, and every single law they can think of has been created. So it's possible for you to break the law at any time of the day so you can be controlled. That's the beauty of governments, and that's the way the system works. A government only has the power to serve the people. It doesn't have the power to crack down on innocent people. It can only crack down on criminals. And so therefore they make so many laws that everybody can break the law, therefore everyone becomes a criminal, and at last everybody is uniform in the eyes of the law. That's what the system's all about, and it all comes down to here. It all comes down to self-empowerment. That's what we've lost. That's what we need to get back. We get that back by respecting ourselves, and it's then that we can start respecting the people around us.
Yes, Jeffrey Grapp came to this conclusion after maybe 10 years of his personal research. There is one big agenda. They want to drag us from infinite love to infinite fear and for survival. Why?
Well, absolutely. The whole system's based on fear-based mind control, all of it. Even the manufactured scarcity of the money system, that's all fear-based mind control. And even the way we perceive ourselves in society. You know, we judge ourselves by the yardsticks given to us by the television, by the media, and we don't see ourselves as being equal to each other. We try to measure ourselves up to all of these fictitious limits that we're given, and we miss out on ourselves.
Their esoteric background was recognized on the Olympic Games in London maybe 2 weeks ago. What is the meaning of occult rituals in such big levels and events?
Well, I believe all the rituals are related to energy. They're all related to energy harvesting. I mean, if you look at sacred geometry, if you look at the nature of reality, you look at the form of matter, you look at the ancient symbols such as the Merkaba, which represents the shape of contraction. It also represents the shape of expansion. This is how all matter is created through all this sacred geometry and all these ancient symbols. It's really all a big mathematical formula. It's almost like a mathematical matrix. You've really got to look at things such as the holographic universe theory, because when you see the mathematical nature of reality, you notice that everything in creation follows set geometric rules, it follows set mathematical principles, it follows Fibonacci sequence. All of this stuff is in reality. So theoretically, if you can control geometry in certain ways and control things in certain ways and control energy in certain ways, you can control reality. You can control it through control of the energy. I believe this is why you find Templar markings everywhere. This is why you find geometric patterns in the streets. This is why temples are shaped certain ways. Even with a mosque, if you talk to an Arab or someone who practices Islam, they will tell you the shape of the mosque is designed to channel energy, and that when you go into the mosque, you have to be in a certain energetic state. If you have any bad feelings at all, don't go into the mosque, because the design of the building will amplify that feeling. They say all of this, and they say all this in a lot of ancient cultures. So I believe that all of these rituals are designed to harvest energy. And when you have a lot of people around the world participating in these rituals, and there's these numerological sequences happening, and there's all of these things going on, they're giving these rituals energy, and this is what helps keep them locked into the matrix. This is simply how it works. It's very esoteric for some people to think about, but this is literally how it works, and you can find evidence of this through, I mean, even look at the works of people like John Dee and some of the stuff that he came up with. You know, he was an advisor to Queen Victoria. The foundation of MI5 was John Dee. He used to sign his name 007. And he was into all of this sort of stuff, and he found out a lot of very interesting principles about that. And from his teachings basically came, I believe, Scottish Rite Freemasonry is based very, very heavily on the teachings of John Dee. And of course, it's the Freemasons who go around and put all these stuff in the streets and all the buildings, and they don't really know what they're doing. They're just doing the rituals, and it's all cool and it's all fun. They don't know what the higher agenda is. But this has been going on for a very long time, and all of these rituals are connected. It's all about energy harvesting and controlling this reality, controlling the overall state of the collective human consciousness.
Well, you mentioned the holographic universe space, and when we talk about it, we must mention source field matrix or collective unconsciousness, all names for same thing. Do you think that eventual science recognition of that theory would be potential breakthrough for human species, because we will finally understand that we are all one on some higher level?
Well, we are, and I think a lot of research is leading towards this. Even if you look at the research of people like Bruce Lipton, cellular biologist, he's proven basically that your genes are affected by the environment, you know, so we can basically create anything we want. And he's figured out that the only thing that's different between cells in your body and cells in mine is the membrane of the cell, and that membrane is downloading a frequency, basically. So this is basically based on his research as a cellular biologist.
Yes, like Cliff Baxter's plants research.
Yeah, exactly. This research basically proves that this body is simply a biological computer that's downloading a frequency from the surrounding field. My consciousness is not local to my body, it exists out here. So this space isn't empty, it's full of energy. This is simply a different biological computer downloading a different frequency, but it still comes from here. So we come from the same thing, and that's the same for everybody. There's literally only one of us here, experiencing reality from 7 billion different perspectives. And when we can see that, and we can see the perfection in ourselves, because no one can be Max Igan better than I can, so why would I perceive myself to be anything but perfect? And why would anyone perceive themselves to be anything but perfect when no one can have their perspective of reality? It's completely unique to themselves, and no one can do it better than they can. So why would you ever perceive yourself to be anything but absolutely perfect, exactly what you are supposed to be? Because what you are supposed to be is yourself, because obviously that's what you're here doing. And we forget that because we look for it all out there. And when we see that in ourselves, and we see that spark of creation, that spark that gives us sentience and life, and we respect it and love it for what it is and see its perfection, then we can see it in the next person, and we can see it in the next person, and then all the barriers break down, and we go, aha. And that's what it's all designed to lead us away from. And this has been proven by science that this is literally how it works. You know, what we have here is a world of energy, and all this is matter that's there because we perceive it to be there. But it's all made of atoms, isn't it? And what are atoms? Atoms are 99.99999% empty space. That is 1/10,000th of 1% of an atom is actually there. And people go, wow, that's amazing. Well, it's actually a lot more than amazing, because it means that 1/10,000th of 1% of this chair I'm sitting on actually exists. 1/10,000th of 1% of my body is actually here. That's amazing. And yet here we are, two frequencies of the same consciousness, communicating about this incredible world that we've got here in front of us, that we're allowing to be destroyed simply because we don't know who we are. That's my summary of this existence at the moment anyway.
Yes, only one logical question after this conclusion is, what is the true meaning of the life?
What is the true meaning of life? I believe the true meaning of life is to find out who you are, to realize what you are and to see what we have here, and to realize that we could change reality in 3 seconds if we simply realized our own perfection. Because once you realize it, you can see it in others, and that's how you change the world.
Well, we are on a World Hemp Congress, and the last question is about cannabis. Cannabis is a good example of global conspiracy. Word marijuana is stigmatized, and what is, in your opinion, reason of this prohibition of cannabis? Is it price and benefits of this plant, or it's a lack of ambition for money and power making from people who use it?
I think that it's illegal for all the things I talked about in my talk. I think it's illegal because it allows the corporate rape of this planet, and it allows the enslavement of humanity to a commercial system. I believe if hemp was illegal, we would not need the pharmaceutical industry. We wouldn't need the oil industry. We wouldn't need a lot of industries. We would have free energy probably. We would have other energy devices that we're not using now. We'd be open to all of creation. You know, I mean, like I said, we're talking about a drug that's never killed anybody in 5,000 years of recorded use. And here we had people here from the government speaking earlier who are saying this plant needs to be regulated. Regulated in order to save the youth, because when they smoke cannabis, they have arrested development. I would suggest that they don't really have arrested development. I believe that they would probably simply look at society and go, oh my God, what am I involved in? And they would become maladjusted to society. And I'm reminded of a quote by Jiddu Krishnamurti, who said, it is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. I think that's something that needs to be taken into account. So I believe there's all sorts of corporate reasons why hemp is illegal, and I believe that it is also illegal because hemp connects you more to reality. You know, I would have a smoke sometimes. I wouldn't consider myself to be a smoker, but there is benefits in this plant. There's medicinal benefits in it. There are benefits for environmentally and all sorts of things. I think it's all just about re-educating the people to what this plant is. But there are so many financial reasons and corporate reasons why this plant is illegal. And like, as I mentioned earlier, the quote from Hillary Clinton, they'll never decriminalise it because there's just too much money in it. Because there are a lot of people who are in control of this planet who are making a lot of money out of the war on drugs.
For conclusion, do you have some special message for your fans in the region and readers of For Portal?
Look, I think it's important for you to remember who you are. I love what Slovenia is doing here. I think this plant needs to be legalised. If the EU won't allow it to be legalised, I think all the people in this area should put pressure on their representatives in the EU and replace these with people who can think a little bit clearer. I love what you're doing around here. I love what I've seen of Europe. I love your country of Slovenia here. It's absolutely beautiful. Just keep doing what you're doing. Spread the message, lead by example in all that you do. Love the people around you, see the perfection in yourself so you can see it in others, and help us change the world. Let's do it. I believe you can do it. You've got a small enough population here to do it. Let's get it on the road.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.